I don't understand conspirators and their apologists. Not only are your theories ever the more kooky, why is it that you must translate your inconsistent babble to regular communications? Why are you incapable of communicating, of putting point A to point B, of relevance, of synapse, of coherence? I had a discussion recently with an individual in regards to Roger Stone's new book about the moon landing, or cheese monsters coming after people in the dark of night, or whatever other nonsense he happens to be selling. And my point was, very simply, that Mr. Roger Stone, who was a Nixon confidant, is really sullying or soiling his reputation, ruining the party, destroying his former boss Richard Nixon's legacy, by writing tripe, by writing garbage. He is no longer a believable source. I believe through research that John Dean is the beginning and end of Watergate. That's right, the government's star witness who started Watergate, in my opinion, and then pointed his finger at everybody else. Mr. Stone holds these same beliefs. However, Mr. Stone, as opposed to me, doesn't know this via research. He knows this firsthand. Now, I didn't get my information from Stone. I got it on my own. Unfortunately, now that Mr. Stone has decided to make a buck by traveling the Lyndon LaRouche Alex Jones circuit by selling ridiculous books full of garbage, he has ruined himself as a vessel of truth. He is, as one could say, against truth, because he decides to sully the waters with his garbage. Now, one of his defenders decides to go on and tell me, "How dare you speak ill of the man? Look at all he's done for the movement." From Nixon to on and on, and I pointed out, I don't care how much he's done, I'm talking about what he's doing now. As a matter of fact, what he's doing now is destroying everything that he's done. If Alex Jones had a good point about the Second Amendment, it doesn't matter, because it's Alex Jones. If Roger Stone has something to say about John Dean and Watergate, it doesn't matter now anymore, because he's Roger Stone, the author of How Little Microbes in Your Brain Are Being Controlled by the Government. It's a shame. He's destroying himself, and he's destroying the truth about Watergate. That's what he's doing. And I continually made this point, and this person, after I nullified his argument, saying that Roger Stone's record about what he has done in the past means nothing, and I brought up a couple examples. I said, Mr. Gerald Cassar, the president or the CEO, or whatever the hell he is, the head muckety-muck of the Conservative Party on the East Coast, has done great things for the movement. He got Ronald Reagan elected with his participation in the Young Americans for Freedom Foundation. However, on his conservative line, he has people running over 22% rating, conservative rating. 22%. There are socialists who have better ratings than 22%. If the entire point of the Conservative Party is to move the Republican Party forward in the right direction, if its sole existence is now the main cause of its being alive, then it's pointless. The Republican Party has a tendency to merely want to stay in power. Rather than wanting to shrink the actual size of government and the role of the federal government in people's lives, it merely wants to control the government, saying, look, the Democrats over there on the other side of the aisle, they're bad people. We're the good guys. We're going to control this place. We're going to run this better than anybody else. I don't want you to run it. I want you to cut it down. I want you to stop screwing with me. But no, they just want to be the other team with, I guess, a better set of ties, different political clubs. Its sole purpose is its existence. It seeks to stay in power, not shrink federal government and the federal power that it has over its citizens. If the Conservative Party turns into that, where its sole purpose is to stay alive by keeping candidates on it that will vote for it but not hold traditional conservative values, be it on economics or other issues, then it is pointless. Now, if I point this out about Gerald Cassar, am I to be lectured about Mr. Cassar's contributions to the movement? Am I? Am I really? Is this what it's come to? If I point out that Roger Stone's putting out garbage is hurting himself and the truth, and actually hurting liberty itself, the fight for liberty, because he's mucking with the truth, do I have to hear about his long history? Do I really? I even made the point, this is as if to say that one couldn't have an opinion on foreign policy unless one served in uniform and picked up a rifle. Now, while the man with the rifle is opinion is appreciated in regards to battle and policy and diplomacy, this doesn't mean that no one else can have an opinion. Of course you can. It's ridiculous. What am I to do? Am I to dig up Richard Nixon from the grave and advise him before I scold Roger Stone? Is that the rule here? Is that what I'm supposed to do? What a ridiculous notion. So I continue to nullify the man's argument, who simply brings up Mr. Stone's great history in the movement. That's all he does. Refuses to discuss the issue on the argument and have the argument that I'm having on my level. The lack of communication, the inability to talk to someone on a reasonable level. It's like talking to somebody and they'd start talking about something else. I start talking about the 1964 elections and he starts talking about shoelaces. This is the level that I'm dealing with. Further on, the man researched me a little bit, and he noticed that I'd contributed to some Democrat candidates. Again, this is not about me or what I have done for the movement. I also put forward a video, which I will try to link to below, in regards to Richard Nixon's Southern strategy and the truth about it. And he says, well, all you did was call, in the video I call a radio show and make my points, all you did was call in a radio show and talk to a YouTube. How could you compare yourself to the great Mr. Stone? The point isn't about his history. Again and again, I reiterate, it is not about what he has done. It is about what he is doing now. On a second note, my video has over 100 sources. I took the time to get the microfilm, to get the actual print articles from the newspapers of the era of the day to make my point. I wasn't as blusterous, maybe, perhaps, as I am now. My tone isn't as radio-voiced as it is now. Let me drop to my real voice. This is my real voice. See how easily it goes? This is the voice I used for that video. However, it does make the point. And my point was, this is how you defend the Nixon legacy. With facts, with truth, with articles. And Mr. Stone could do it by witness. Why do I have to rely on other reporters and other sources to do the same work that Mr. Stone can tell by witness? Now, Mr. Stone recently, I don't want to say attacked, but tried to address Mr. John Dean and his new Nixon book, of course, leaving out his implicit dirty fingers within Watergate himself. And Mr. Dean responded to Mr. Stone exactly as how one should respond to him. You're a lunatic. You're a crook. I am not a crook. That's how you respond to Mrs. Stone. Again, the same way you would deal with Lyndon LaRouche, and the same way you would deal with Alex Jones. Despite whatever it is that they are saying, they are Lyndon LaRouche and Alex Jones. This would be as if Alex Jones actually did see an alien one night, and he came to the radio the next morning, and right before he started his broadcast in his usual blunder and thunder, would think to himself, wait a minute. The people who believe my nonsense every day are just going to buy this. But I'm trying to reach the people who don't believe me. I really did see an alien! Fuck! I'm Alex Jones. It doesn't matter what I say. Roger Stone really did see John Dean start and end Watergate. Start Watergate and then end it by pointing his finger at everybody else. But he's now Roger Stone, the author of How Microwaves Are Controlling Your Television. And it's unfortunate. So this person did some research into me, and he said, well, is again, refusing to have the argument, makes it further about my history versus Mr. Stone's. And he sees that, he goes, well, I see that you gave to Democratic candidates, you gave against Mitch McConnell, and you gave against Michael Grimm. Now, I want you to do me a favor. If you are truly a friend of Mr. Stone, or if you're a Facebook friend of him, you can message him. I want you to ask him of what he thinks of Mitch McConnell. Yes, you'll find that he probably shares the same sentiment as mine. Maybe he won't go as far as I did and give to his Democrat opponent. He definitely should have been primaried, and the same with Mr. Michael Grimm. Mitch McConnell is a disaster. Mitch McConnell is at war with the conservative movement in the Republican Party. Him and the current president of the United States hold the conservatives in contempt. They view the conservative movement in this country as a greater threat to this nation than perhaps the Taliban or ISIS. This is their number one threat because it is a threat to their power structure. Mitch McConnell lied when he went and he did an interview and he said that we need at least 60-plus votes to get rid of Obamacare. 85% of it actually can be voted down in budgetary conciliations. You need 51 votes, which we have now. He lied. What is his position anyway? He keeps hopping around. I don't care what Rand Paul's relationship, or the Paul family's relationship, is with Mr. Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. He's a disaster and should have been gotten rid of a long time ago. The best case scenario was if the Republicans won and Mitch McConnell lost, and that is what I was doing with my contributions to his Democrat opponent. There is one party in this country right now which is fighting the socialists on the Democrat side, and it is the Republican Party, and I aim to make it right, and to get rid of the likes of Mitch McConnell. I have no shame for giving money to Mitch McConnell's Democrat opposition. None. He's proven to be a disaster. On day 2, after winning a landslide in both houses, what does this genius say? He gives up the power of the purse to the President of the United States, to the executive branch. We live in a country with 3 separate branches. If we do not like what the executive branch is putting out, we have the power of the purse in the Senate. We can say we are no longer going to fund your war. We are no longer going to fund your Obamacare. When you give that up, you are pointless as an institution. And that's exactly what McConnell did 48 hours after he won elections. 48 hours after the Republicans took it in a landslide not seen since the Eisenhower era. So goddamn right I gave money to his opposition. Michael Grimm has a 44% rating from theconservativereview.com, an F rating. Look at his votes. He should have been primaried. Again, people may not have gone as far as I did and given to his Democrat opponent, but the idea here is to get rid of the Michael Grimms, the Mitch McConnells, the John McCains, the Olympia Snows, the Lindsey Grahams of the party. That was my goal. I'll have you no further. I gave money to Occupy Wall Street. That's right, the Occupy Wall Street. The longer the flea-bagged rapists in the park stayed in the news, the better off the Tea Party and the conservative movement looked. And that's the truth. So yes, I gave them money too. I gave money to conservatives, although I didn't publish it, because it wasn't important. But I wanted people to know when I gave to Democrats. I wanted people to know when I gave money to draft Bernie Sanders, to keep Hillary Clinton in those primaries, to move her further to the left, or have to deal with the Bernie Sanders in her primaries. Absolutely I did. Just as Republicans became Democrats and voted to keep Hillary Clinton within those primaries to battle Obama, so keep that primary process going for as long as possible. She's not the queen. You can't just walk in there and take over the Democrat Party's nomination. Why? What has she done? She was a disaster as a Secretary of State. She was the husband she was the wife to a philanderer and a rapist. What has she done? She's done nothing. She doesn't deserve that spot. She thinks she's royalty. I intend to keep that primary process long and warful. And that is why I donated to Bernie Sanders. I can't think of any other Democrats I've donated to at the time, but trust me, I had a list of targets that I was going after, and I gave all of their Democrat opponents money. All of them. I intend to do the same thing when Hillary Clinton rolls around. Anybody who challenges her in the presidential primary of the Democrat Party, I will be giving money to, absolutely. But the real point here is this. This isn't about me. I don't know why I have to defend myself and my record. I'm not Roger Stone. It's not me who's writing out. I wasn't at Nixon's bedside. I wasn't in his administration. I wasn't his confidant. That's not me. That's him. And when you write garbage and you ruin your reputation, you hurt truth and you hurt liberty. And you are dangerous. That's the truth. You can always sell any kind of book you want about JFK or whatever it is, and that's what he's done. He's run out of money, and he's picked a book or a topic to go after it. To go after the rubes like yourself. I don't know why you can't communicate. This is about Mr. Stone and his awful, horrible, new, ridiculous jokes of a book. Amazing how the man didn't decide to write this when he found out about it. Oh, look! Another JFK conspiracy book. Wow! It's going to be on the dollar shelf from a homeless man down in Times Square. That's where it's going. Roger Stone is now useless. The great man of the movement, by the way, I'd never heard of. Until he ran a madam for governor in New York on the East Coast. The same madam who'd been arrested by a governor who'd been busted with a prostitute. And he figured, if this guy wants to get his reputation back, do his mea culpas, I'm so sorry, I've had long discussions with my wife, I've found Jesus. and now I'm going to run again for governor. No. Mr. Stone decided to take the gloves off and put that woman wherever he went. He could have all the CNN shows he wants. Everyone will know him as client number 9 with his socks every time he showed his face in public. It was brilliant. But, mind you, it was the first time I'd ever heard of him. The great contributor to the movement. I don't want to hear about his contributions. I don't care. I'm talking about what he's doing now. He's destroying everything that he has ever done. Thank you.